but I couldn't find a way. So I'll settle for one day to believe in you. Tell me lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies, tell me lies. Oh no, you can't disguise.
All right, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and good night, everyone. It's the Monday Fakeologist show. It's the new Monday show because this is the show where we hang out with Tim Osmond of IPS, who is in between studios. So I thought, well, I got a studio, so I can take calls and help a guy out. I listen to all IPS shows that I can. And IPS is in the studio again once more on a Monday. Hello, IPS.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having this platform set up. I'm trying to get my listeners acclimated to late night 3-hour live streams. So when we bring out the phones again, we can resume that pattern. And so I've been doing this late night thing.
Well, that's good. Well, hey, until you do, I'm happy to accommodate. We don't have to keep this going forever, but it's always fun to catch up. I like to do about an hour. So if it's all phone calls, that's fine with me. People can call in. The numbers are at the bottom of the screen. They can just join the studio directly. That's the best sound quality. If you just join the studio directly, slide in. And if any of you guys on YouTube, if you want to pair your channels with mine and simulcast, you can do that too. If you just type in the link, shortfake.com/restream, that link brings you into the Restream Studio course. And if you have a YouTube channel, even if you don't have a YouTube channel, I think you can just add your own YouTube channel. If you have a YouTube profile, Tim Osmond would know better. Do you automatically have a YouTube channel? Or do you have to do something to set it up? You have way more experience.
I think the only thing you have to do is sign up with because you can stream right on the Restream. I'm not sure. I think you just need to sign up with like a Gmail account or YouTube, and yeah, you're in.
Yeah, you have to and I couldn't do it with my guest last night. I was trying to get onto his machine to help out, but I couldn't do it. It kept looping back in a circle. But if anyone wants to stream their YouTube channel, even if they don't use it, they can stream this show and then they can do whatever they want with the video. They can just leave it up. And if it gets taken down by YouTube, that's for you to deal with. But I usually delete the YouTubes because if we say something controversial, they just strike the channel. Now, I usually don't say anything with IPS that's related to health advice. So we usually are okay. So I don't always delete this video, but just in general. So if you want to join in, you have to link the channel before the video starts, though. So you have to link it at approximately 7:45, 7:50, and because once it's going, you can't link it. Anyway,
right.
That's how it works. And the Restream Studio is pretty good. And it would be great if many of these people that are on YouTube could simulcast, because that's how you grow the channel, I think.
And that's why we're doing this. We're doing this to grow the network of those who have this more informed perspective. I just saw this headline because I'm looking for the story about the train bombing and some kind of concurrent drills. And I just came across a new story. Police rehearsed knife attack scenario on a train. And then it says that ironically, now it's been involved in a stabbing near Huntingdon. This is British Transport Police. But they're saying it's ironic that they had a drill for stabbing and then it really happens. Usually it's an eerie coincidence, but this time it's ironic. But I've been making it a point that we got to talk more about the drills.
Well, hold on. Is this a new story?
Yeah, this is a new one.
Stabbing in London?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to find it here. This is 11 people.
First, a knife attack is the whole thing. The police rehearsed it.
Yeah, well, they don't really have guns in the same way they do in America, so they have knives as their weapon of choice over there. I'm guessing they'll have to start a knife registry or put some kind of chip in every knife blade or knife handle. So we've got 9 and 11 in here. Oh, by the way, the World Series ended. Toronto lost. That was a couple nights ago. But the final score added up to 9, and it was in 11 innings. So if this is a 9/11 channel, that's the best I can do to tie it into 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah, well, wouldn't shock me. One of the conversations we've been having, and this is sounds kind of off the wall at first,
Mhm.
but we had noticed that there was this baseball player with the name Kirk, Alejandro Kirk. And there's been
Yes.
a number of instances where it's like the headline says pain in the neck and they're dumping liquid on him and it looks like it's coming out of his neck. So
Oh,
we've seen
really?
these overlaps with this guy, 910, pain in the
Mm.
neck, and other references that we're just like, they're probably planting these seeds through every possible vector. This is why we see stuff in World Wrestling Entertainment. So why wouldn't baseball also be platforming propaganda?
Well, this was a very well-watched baseball game, at least in Canada. So it's a great pipeline for propaganda. You gotta go where the eyeballs are, and there's a good chance a quarter of all Canada was watching this game. I don't know if America was really into it because maybe they didn't think a Canadian team would be interesting, but it was LA, which I guess is the most valuable baseball team in the world with their Japanese players. So I'm guessing the West Coast was watching. But yeah, the guy at the very end, the very last play was Kirk. His his bat broke. Uh, it splintered towards the base, and that basically ended. He hit into a double play, and that ended it very quickly for Toronto fans. So yeah, Kirk kind of was the ending of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think one of our members, the Discord, Synchromorpheus, is doing a little bit of a deep dive into it and came across some stuff like Charlie Kirk. They both got picked like out of the crowd at like 18 and platformed. So there's some parallels there. But we're just saying the timing of the name Kirk and the neck references, and it's just like with Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen reemerges on 910, his comeback tour, and then Kirk's doing his American comeback tour. And it's like they use memes, they use names, memes.
Yeah,
In
here's
a way,
your meme. Here's your baseball meme right here.
I see it.
This
The
this
broken bat.
this is the iconic photo. You know how there's always an iconic photo in psyops? This is
And
it.
add to it, Kirk was sitting at like a it's a polygon, a five-sided polygon. It's a like a home plate. If you look at
Yeah.
the assassination spot, it was like he was sitting on home base.
Oh, that's right. You or somebody broke that down into yeah. I guess it was Silas Speaks was talking about all the shapes of that area. It's a very strange little amphitheater where they were at.
Yeah, well, now it's been like mowed over and remodeled, but yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely had him at a home base. So there might be some deeper level of symbolism here. Again, it's all to me, it's all part of an echo chamber. So it doesn't matter if it's a movie, it's a podcast, it's on sports, because we've
Yeah.
seen like WWE has been huge for 9/11 predictive stuff. Oh, Portal said it broke at the neck of the
Yeah,
bat.
that is
Right.
true. It was a very yeah, that's exact I was gonna say something to that effect. Yeah. I guess a bat does have a neck. I didn't know it was called the neck. I would call it the base, but yeah, I'm not a baseball player. But yeah, I guess it is the neck. And it was a very I didn't watch it because I didn't watch it, but maybe if the ball hits right around here, then it would splinter because this is not a strong part of the bat. This is the hitting part of the bat, obviously at the top. And when I was watching the game earlier, the pitcher was throwing right at the hands all the time, and there was a bench clearing brawl because they thought the pitcher was just trying to hit or injure the player because there's no you wear gloves, but that's not gonna help against a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah, no doubt. That's horrifying to think about. But so in some instance like this, like, do they rig the bat? Like, yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I mean,
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me either. It would. These guys are professionals, obviously, so they know how to hit. They know how to hit a certain part of the bat. Um, I think all sports is rigged because it's sports entertainment, but I don't claim to know how they do it. We can speculate till the cows come home, but I think the outcome is usually engineered in major, super major games like this. This is probably one of the most watched baseball games ever, the World Series, of course. So why wouldn't they use it to deliver propaganda messages, like you said? That it's got eyeballs. It's hard to get eyeballs in one place in 2025. So yeah, they would definitely use it for sure. And it's
yeah,
not coincidence, and it's not the universe just randomly coming together.
yeah.
It's deliberate.
I think you can make the case just by referring to World Wrestling Entertainment and the 9/11 stuff. Well, yeah, it's not difficult. And you're right. This is where the eyeballs are, and it's never been more competitive. They call it the attention economy, and there's somebody trying to get your attention every single second.
Diana Southard says, I concur, pro sports are choreographed. Yeah, why wouldn't they be? Okay, we have one listener joining the studio now. Someone, Lucas has joined the studio. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
It's going well. You figured out how to get in the back door, as I announced. So yeah, good. This is how you
Hey, I
get in.
just wanted to touch. Yes, sir. I just wanted to touch on something real quick. Have you ever heard of he was a sports journalist named Brian Toohey, and he wrote
Oh
a couple
yeah,
books about sports rigging back in the day.
I had him
Um,
on. I had him on a long time ago. I was gonna do a follow up with him, but then
mhm.
COVID happened and I got derailed, and I just sort of yeah. He's really good at that. He's written at least one book on the topic.
Yeah, his webs are pretty good. I just sent a link in the chat or the private
Oh,
chat on here. The
oh,
top
good.
10 fixed series streaks, and it's pretty remarkable how these cities will go through these psyops. Like Boston will have the Boston bombing. Uh, I forget I think the top one on there is Las Vegas after the fake shooting there, and the teams just so happen to win the championships or whatever remarkable game right afterwards. So
The fix
just
is
wanted
in.
to throw that out there.
No, that's really great. The fix is in .net. If you give this info to sports fans, their first reaction is anger. They really don't like you. This is not welcome information for most sports fan, I find. They
I think
just
it's
can't stand
because,
it.
It's an interesting topic. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tim
well, I
Osmond.
just said people think of it as like, well, it's just about the athletics. They think it's objective, and they don't like to think that the whole thing is rigged. It just seems like a safe space, and you're disrupting their safe space when you say that even your sportsized.
It's very disturbing. I know for a fact that people get offended, they get mad. You're ruining their illusion. I don't really like to think that they're faking it or choreographing it either. It just ruins the whole it ruins it a lot. But on the other hand, if I realize it's just sports entertainment, I'm okay with that. And people were really upset that the Blue Jays lost. They think it's their team. They think they were playing. But I said, "Were you entertained?" And the answer, of course, is yes. It was very entertaining if you like baseball. And what more do you want? Why do you have to win? So, were you entertained? Because there's nothing worse than a lopsided game where one team just clears the other one right out. It's boring. Reality Witness chipped in $4.99 into the IPS Office Fund. Thank you, IP or Reality Witness.
Yeah, I'm looking at the moon base. I put a link in chat. The article says Blue Jays Alejandro Kirk is a hard-hitting pain in the neck. And
Oh,
if you look at
really?
that article,
Where's that?
there's
I can't
there's
click on.
actually a splash of
Can you put that in
beer.
the private chat as well so I can click on?
Yeah.
I can't click on. Okay, there you go. There's more. There's more. I wonder if his real last name is Kirk, because most of these players are Central Americans, Spanish people. I don't think Kirk is a Spanish last name.
Yeah, he's Mexican too. That's not a Hispanic last name at all.
Yeah. So what's his real name? I'm wondering. I can
Beats
ask.
me.
Yeah. So why would he rename himself? Is that a coincidence, or we're not coincidence theorists here, I don't think.
I mean, there are people in Latin America that are not of Spanish origin, so it's possible it could be a real name. But all these coincidences, quote unquote, lining up are pretty fascinating.
Well, this headline is not a coincidence.
Look at the picture. I mean, it looks like blood gushing out of his neck, and it says that
Really?
he's a pain in the neck.
Wow. Yeah, he's the guy on the right, I think. He's a little short guy. It's very strange watching him play. But interesting. Yeah, okay. Well, so this is not, you were saying earlier you're battling people about convincing that this is fake, but the whole world is not fake by deduction.
Yeah, like we really have to not fall into the category of, oh, they just say everything's fake. We have to have reasons behind it. And that's kind of my main point, because there are some people who are challenging even the idea that, okay, yeah, we can grasp that it's a squib, that he's a fake character. But there are some who are saying, well, the whole thing could have been AI. And I kind of think that that's a point that, yeah, you can raise that. But if you're going to raise that, then you're going to have to show us, what specifically looks like AI, because AI seems to be pretty distinct, but it's getting a little trickier these days. So we may as well confront the question now. I don't think that we should just be very flippant, though. I think that you should provide some constance. And I just find a lot of people say that the whole thing was fake. Like there was no TPUSA. He never went to colleges. And it's like he came through Albuquerque. And I can look at the video. It's like 2 hours long. It's boring. But so we can't just be too flippant about it. Otherwise, we sound like people saying that birds don't exist.
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently it's his real name. His dad's name is Juan Manuel Kirk. Not exactly a Scottish sounding first couple of names, so it's interesting.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is not the only example of this Kirk baseball player with headlines that ironically seem to reference Charlie, and that graphic image there of the liquid squirting out of his neck here. I mean, that was like a squib device. And so to me, this is just suggestive of how saturated our media ecosystem is with these forced memes, which makes me think of that movie Focus with Will Smith, where they surround a guy with the number 55 all day so that his frame of reference would pick up on it and cause him to choose that number in a rigged or in a gambling game later. So anyway, that's what it looks like to me. It looks intentional.
Yeah, very much so. Kevin Waring says it's so Jake the Awake can figure it out. Diana Southard said no revolt. Most Americans are comatose. Owly Goering says Kirk is an Anglo-Frankish name, I think. Well, yeah, but it sounds like his father's Mexican or Spanish to the very least. PsyOp Sidecar says autohoax.com. Order PsyOp trading cards. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
It's got to be symbolic. The name, how it's associated with church. I think that's 100% just symbolic. And there's another movie that came out this year called Americana, where someone gets shot in that same spot in the neck. And so I think the theme here with Kirk is they were shooting Americana. They were shooting the idea of Turning Point USA, which is like MAGA. It's all about putting America back pre-feminism, pre-civil rights. So the symbolism of shooting Kirk is like shooting Christian nationalism in the neck, shooting this what is seen as regressive from the left. So I think it's all theater, and I think the names are a huge part of it.
Yeah, if you look up Alejandro too, it's the Spanish form of Alexander, and I'm seeing the etymology of it. It's saying that it's defender of man or free man, something along those lines. So it kind of lines up with the Charlie also being similar origin.
Oh, is that right?
Now, the bat being snapped on the neck, like, to me, this is just too funny. I mean, what do you say? I mean, yeah, I'm open to that. These are just funny coincidences, in which case you can say the universe is funny. But we're also looking at this in the context of not only the Kirk coincidences with Snake Eyes, Heads of State, The Tempest, two different podcast references that all bring up the same key points, but also the continued actions of Erica Kirk, which have coincidentally mirrored the Hulu show. So at this point, I'm just saying that to just wave it off as coincidence is at this point tantamount to reality denialism. It looks like our reality is being tampered with. And to say our reality is being tampered with in the context of bread and circuses with sports is not even an extraordinary claim.
This is Brian Toohey's website, thefixisin.net. It doesn't look like he's updated it lately, but he has many books on the topic. So I haven't read any of them, but I do buy it. And his tagline, would you leave a multi-billion-dollar industry up to chance? And of course, the answer is absolutely not. The last pitch of the game was the relief pitcher's 33rd pitch. You got to be kidding. God.
And he lays out a great case in those articles that he has linked on the site. That it's just like, what are the odds that a city that just went through a tragedy is going to have win every championship and have these really dramatic moments? It's it's unbelievable.
Well, we've seen similar incidents with seemingly staged things going along with sports, like in football with Damar Hamlin, where it just seemed like a PR stunt about his heart attack. And the whole thing was about raising money. It's all about the heart, but all kinds of just 33s, 3.3 million by 3:30 a.m. It's just way too conspicuous. So I'm like, I don't know all the insides of it, but you see everybody in the field kneeling except for player 33, whose name is Neil, which is weird. But we're just noticing this stuff. And it's happening, and it's just like, okay, this is not organic. If this is all fake, then there's some kind of, I don't know, some kind of NDA wall keeping these people from talking about it. But there's some kind of big secret here about how rigged it could be.
Yeah, Brian Toohey's been around since 2012, which is the year I came on the scene. And he only has 3,900 followers on X. That doesn't make sense. A big author with all kinds of books, so clearly he's being ignored.
Oh yeah, he's talked about how he's banned from. He used to write for Sports Illustrated and ESPN, and they won't have him on to interview him about this subject at all.
Yeah, well, luckily there are other sports outlets that are amateur. It looks like he was on a show earlier, but yeah, sports is the last bastion of live television or media or whatever you want to call it. They really spend a lot of money killing illegal streams. They're very protective of their streaming because it's a huge moneymaker, even if they can't hardly deliver 10 million streams simultaneously, as witnessed by the World Series, which kept going down, up and down all the time, even if you paid for it. But Yeah, it's too important to leave to chance. I'm going to agree. And I watched some of ESPN's coverage of the World Series, and the level of graphics was unbelievably good. It's super clear. And I noticed the sports hosts, they almost look like avatars. They must have had some kind of, because their skin was very strange. And I almost thought I was looking at AI hosts. And if they aren't AI, then they will be really soon, I think.
Well, ESPN was in the middle of some controversy because a number of their articles were not only AI generated, but the authors themselves were mere avatars. And they got called out for it because a lot of their writers are apparently fake. And so that's kind of funny to think about.
Well, it won't be long. Just for financial purposes, if they can have avatar hosts that are just reading lines that are fed into them by all kinds of really good writers and commentators, that would be very interesting, because I find a lot of the commentators, especially if they're not past athletes, are quite vapid and not interesting. And I thought I'd rather just listen to regular people talk about the game. And if you had avatars that were programmable to the region or to the user, whoever's watching the game, I could see that happening.
Well, you notice people have no problem accepting that wrestling is fake. But
Yeah.
like a couple months ago, Raja Jackson body slammed and apparently knocked out Psycho Stu and punched him 23 times, if you believe the news. And teeth were flying, blood was everywhere. The guy was unconscious. And everybody said it was real. I got ripped on Twitter. I got death threatened many times because I said it was
Wow.
fake. And Jake the Awake really kind of, I was unconscious. And he's like, no, this is real. Everybody said it. And,
Oh, sorry about that. I was trying to
well,
click
they
on
said
your
it was
profile
real.
and brought up your show.
Oh, I see. Well,
I was trying to find the
a point of
tweet.
contention.
Yeah. I wanted to see,
I'm like,
because
wait, yeah, go ahead.
I was just trying to find your Twitter thing so we could look at what you're talking about. Oh, there we go. I X that out. Okay, so this is your Twitter feed. So is this where you're having your Twitter wars at IPS Think Tank?
Yes. And again, I think debate is healthy and I think it's necessary. And I think it's very educational. And so just lately, I've just been unpacking this trend of what I call, or what are loaded questions, where somebody won't say, I don't think Turning Point USA even existed. And I don't think they went to the colleges and did tours. But what they will say is, how come we haven't seen any evidence of these tours? So disguise a claim as a question and don't provide anything to substantiate it.
All right. Yeah, good point. Excuse me, caller, where are you calling from and what's your name?
I'm calling from the South Shore of the St. Lawrence Seaway, and this is John the Beggar.
All right. Say hi to IPS and Lucas.
Hi, IPS and Lucas. How you both doing?
Good. Thanks for
Hey,
calling.
good. Hey, real quick, I got to go watch my bread and circuses, so I'm gonna head out, fellas. But it's been a nice chat. I'll catch the rest on the replay.
Thanks for joining, Lucas, on the restream. Thank you.
Hey, I was wondering, have you ever tried to get Brian Toohey on your show?
Not lately, as you must have missed me talking about it. He was on the show about 10 years ago, and I was going to get him back, and then COVID happened, and I got derailed on the topic. So maybe it's time to get him back for sure. I did enjoy it. I'm pretty sure I had him on. Maybe I'm imagining it, but yeah, I think so.
There are sales calls, robo sales calls, where the person you almost can't tell now that it's a robo until it starts going on and on and on, and you yell at it or something, and it just keeps going, and they sound really real. It's getting more and more like this.
Like, you'll talk to an AI bot, like on the phone, a robocall, it'll stutter, it'll say, and it'll have vocal inflections that are imperfections to make it seem more human.
Wow, that's crazy.
Much like a person who gets a pair of false teeth and puts a chip in it. here and there to make it look real.
I don't answer any call, any number I don't recognize. So am I going to have to answer these robocalls so I can analyze them?
Probably will have to. But I noticed something too going on YouTube. I saw a channel, Casey the Car Guy, and these people are more and more talking openly about experimental medicine and other things, and how the government and the power elite are trying to kill us. And they're talking very openly about it, and their YouTube channels don't seem to be getting taken down. It seems like there's a bigger and bigger group of people waking up to certain things and starting to question things openly. I think it's going to get to the point to stop anyone on that, because everyone will be saying it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what to think of that. If they're allowing it, then it's probably not real. Tim Osmond, this is a video you reposted on
I asked,
Twitter.
I think it's AI. I don't know for sure. And so that's why I think this is a valid question, because I'm seeing a lot of these videos that supposedly show people looting Target because their EBT was canceled, and they all look fake to me.
You know this is fake because they're not going to steal fruit and vegetables.
Yeah, I'm guessing fake, but I don't know. And even if it's not fake, you got to check the context, because it could be 5 years old. There are people who will re-upload old videos to create new outrage. It's just outrage bait.
No, I agree.
Yeah, they caught some of the news channels bringing up old footage and trying to say it was a new protest. And it was one that was in the fall, and they noticed that in the trees they were all totally green, but at that time of the year they would be turning colors. So you never know how many ways that they're trying to stage the event.
Those
saying
are called,
a lot of people were out there.
Those are called cheap fakes. So it's a deep fake where they're not generating new content. They're just taking from another context. And that's a very common thing. I've seen it on the right, where you'd get old videos of kids on playgrounds fighting, and you create this perception that there's an epidemic of violence. And so it's a very useful propaganda tool for them to just, borrow this content. It's very low effort.
Well, I remember when they had the riots at the Chicago Democratic Convention way back in the days. I was a little kid, and I'm often wondering whether those were real or not, or were they just staged.
Even in the 60s, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know how much of that is real, how much is staged, and you don't even know some of the union clashes they had, whether they were
that was to crush the unions. Yeah. I would agree. Listen, if they're staging it now, of course, why wouldn't they have been doing it in the past? It's not like they're inventing things now. They're doing things today that worked in the past. So I'm with you on that. I think the Kent State shooting was probably staged too.
Oh, it was. There's a site, and I can't remember it, where they showed that they had a little case, almost like a case for fishing, but it's a makeup case, and it was there, not too far away, and they centered in on that, and I don't think anyone died at the Kent State riot either.
Nobody died, nobody got hurt. Yeah,
I'm with you on that too, because
some people got hurt.
If you look at like the frame-by-frame analysis of January 6th by Woo's News.
Oh, yeah.
And others, what they've demonstrated is that when the speech was going on at the Ellipse, the so-called riot at the Capitol had already started, and there's a 45-minute walk from one place to the next. So there was no random person just walking into the Capitol. Everybody who was there was part of the team, and they all had ways of identifying each other, and it was a closed movie set for all intents and purposes. And so when we talk about these things, obviously they've had this technology for a long time, and I think it makes sense that they would just stage these things Like William Randolph Hearst said, you provide the photos, I'll provide the war. We know about decoy dummy tanks in World War II, inflatable tanks. There's fake bases, fake missile launchers made of wood used by Ukraine. I mean, there's so many examples of dummies and decoys and fakes that it's a standard practice.
Yeah, I agree.
You never know what really went on unless you were actually there
That's right.
during the time.
And even if you were there, you might not have seen anything like at the Charlie Kirk thing.
True.
You might have been lined
Very
up
true.
trying to get into a stage, a private sound stage.
That's very, very possible on that. But I just want to say that I thought Brian Toohey would be an excellent guest for your show.
All right, I'll tell my show booker Anna to get in touch with them again. That'd be great. And next week, or one of these weeks coming up, we're gonna have a bunch of Australians on the show called YouTube channel called Autodidactic. I was trying to watch some of their stuff today, but they're just different. They're sort of fakeologists. There's some parallel crossover there, so we're gonna see if we can generate some cross synergy there.
Sounds interesting.
And as a producer, I kind of like the no agenda idea that I don't have listeners, I have producers, and IPS calls it his think tank, which is great. So if John DeBeggar, I can deputize you as a producer. So if you want to reach out on our behalf to Brian Toohey, you're certainly more than welcome to, because there's only so many hours in the day. So if you want to be a producer in that way, that's fine too.
Okay. I think I might take you up on that. I've got a little time tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And I'll give you credit, and you can come on and ask him questions too. It'll be interesting.
Okay, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the comments, commenter says, is there any evidence that Kirk's bat break was a scripted event? So when we answer a question like that, if our perspective is that sports is at least partially kayfabe, then the question would be like saying, is there any evidence that the outcome of this World Wrestling Entertainment match was pre-scripted? And it's like, well, it's kind of built into the proposition of it being kayfabe.
Yeah.
So it's either just a funny coincidence that the bat broke at the neck at home plate. It's either a funny coincidence or it was a scripted event. But for there to be evidence, our only basis for evidence is our existing claim that they are part of the PSYOP entertainment complex and would thereby have all the same predilections for fakery. So it's like, do we have evidence that the events were scripted at WWE? Well, no. We just know that it is because it's kayfabe. But how would you answer that?
Well, I have to admit, I didn't watch the end of the game, but I did see the commentary and some of the pictures after the game, and I never really tried to tie in the characters in the baseball game to, say, the Charlie Kirk incident. Now that you pointed out just the things you brought up with the broken back at the neck, because I don't really describe different parts of the back anatomically, but you're right. I think it is the neck, and it is cracked. And it, there are a lot of things that are coincidence, and I'm not a coincidence theorist. So the question is, as an auto hoaxer, are you pushing it too hard to try and tie the two things together, or is there something there? So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Exactly. So what I'm saying is that if this happened at WWE, we'd be like, well, obviously, duh, it's fake. But because it's on the baseball field, we're like, no, it must be real. That must be our starting point. And I'm suggesting that we're being consistent if our basic premise is that we're looking at the world stage has no coincidences because it's all got the same backstage.
No, I'm with you. And you would, if you weren't an auto hoaxer, you wouldn't notice these things. You wouldn't notice the similar last name. You wouldn't notice, and you don't really have to stretch it too hard to add all these things up. And you're not saying, we don't have to know how they bake the cake. We're just pointing out things that are quite suspicious as an auto hoaxer. And it is very strange. Now, do all these strange things add up to something insidious or planned? Well, I don't think it's the universe just coming together. So, because this is sports entertainment, we take that premise, then of course they're going to engineer drama into the show. You wouldn't want to go see a 90-minute movie and there be no drama, no conflict, no happy ending kind of thing. So,
And did somebody not say this was the 33rd pitch and it ended the World Series? Like, it wasn't just a random hit, right?
Of course. Of course, yeah.
Well, baseball is the ultimate Freemasonic game.
Of course,
the diamond, Abner Doubleday, what was he, a 32nd degree or 33rd degree Mason?
Of course, it's a Masonic game. Now, here's another thing that I keep about sports. Watch this Tiger Woods putt. Now, even if you don't buy into the theory that Tiger Woods was specifically created to be a golfer, whatever sex or whatever he is, you can't dispute that he was trained from when he was shorter than a golf club to play golf. You can't dispute that. That's a fact. But when he makes impossible shots, and there's no doubt he's one of the most talented players ever, but when impossible shots happen like this one that I'm going to show you, you have to ask yourself, what is going on?
This is at the Montrose Hall.
This is his most famous golf shot ever, I would say. Now that was the winning putt at the last hole, and the ball pauses on the Nike logo. Almost as if there was a door at the hole that it had to knock before it went in. It just now did that just happen? Or
no,
is there something more? Well, whatever.
Magnets in the ball in the hole.
Exactly. Well, something happened that's not real. So, anyway.
So
he was supposedly married to that Swedish woman, and they had these children. How do we know that those were even their children?
We don't.
They could have been rented. Yeah. And they're divorced and broken up, and they can bring one of the kids or both of them back as golfers later on, and it may not even be the little kids that we saw. It might be someone else they're training and putting out there just as a show. I mean, golf courses are so artificial. They pipe in sounds of birds and nature because those things are so polluted from all the chemicals to make the lawns green. Everything is dead around there. And the cancer rates are up within a half mile of a golf course.
Well, I don't know about that, but anyway.
Listen to this. Is another headline that I meant to bring up as well.
Yeah.
I'm not the one who did the deep dive.
Okay.
But there was another game where Alejandro Kirk was hit by the ball. I think it was on Halloween.
Yes, that was game 6, I think.
And he had to leave. So what we're looking at this broken bat breaking in the neck, a guy named Kirk, game-ending play, 33rd pitch or whatever. We're just looking at this in the context of him being described as a pain in the neck, the apparent liquid gushing from his neck in that photo. And then we're also just kind of like, it's part of a sequence. It doesn't seem anomalous at this point. So at a minimum, it's funny and noteworthy. The whole being at home plate, the neck. I mean, at a minimum, you have to note that it's an interesting occurrence, right?
It all adds up. And what does it add up to? I don't know. So there he is, as you said. Let's watch that again here. I don't know if you can see that really well. I don't know why it's dark. Oh, yeah, it wants my permission. Let's see here. Here we go. Ooh, well, it was hitting the hands. Missed his neck, but there you go. Yeah, there was a lot of hitting of the Blue Jay players by the pitchers. There's no doubt that was that deliberate. Well, it's a good way to really knock a guy out of a game. That's for sure. Again, I don't know how they rig sports necessarily, but they don't.
Yeah, I don't know about bats. I don't even know. Like, would that even be possible? Is it fakeable? We're asking the question.
Yeah.
Like, would it require some kind of rigged bat? How would you guarantee it?
It would have to be broken and then put together with some sort of a temporary fix that just hitting it could probably break it open. Some sort of a glue or adhesive.
But it's like the broken bat from the final play of the game. So that makes it stand out in and of itself. He's been hit before, pain in the neck, the name Kirk. I mean, there's a number of things that we've just noted, and we're like, why is this baseball player's headlines seemingly ironically referencing the Charlie Kirk thing? And there's been this common element of it seemingly ironic, like a joke, like jocular, like making jokes. And this is kind of jokey if you think about it.
Yeah. Hey, it's entertainment. I'm entertained. Are you guys entertained? I'm entertained by sports and
Absolutely.
whatnot. It's great. Great stuff. All right. Well, John the Beggar, thanks for calling in. We got about 10 more minutes. I thought maybe we'll go over a few more of.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys, and have a good night.
And good luck with the booking.
Okay. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks for helping out there. We're going to look at your Twitter feed. You spend a lot of time there. There's a lot of information there if you want. Here, I don't know if you can see the screen, but you've got a graphic on here. Maybe you can describe it if you want.
Yeah. The graphic describes the political horseshoe and how they have bifurcated the world stage on purpose. So you see these divisions left and right, but there's like parallel belief systems, and it becomes very obvious at the extremes. And so what I describe as a woke right mirrors the woke left. They just have a different scapegoat narrative. But the point of it is that if you're involved in politics in any way, or you're trusting these politicians, you're basically marching lockstep behind people who are part of the world stage paradigm, which is infused with all kinds of fake news. So that's the purpose of it. Just suggesting here that what they do with this woke label is they reroute you into being involved. Like, you'll notice the red pill people all see themselves as awake, and they basically just got conscripted into this war against the deep state. They became Trump voters. So I'm just saying they got politicized. And so I put this graphic up to describe how if you're getting involved in politics, you're probably putting yourself into a box and you're probably being played. The only winning move is not to play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you go in trying to think you're going to change the system, no, the system will change you. The system will bend you to the way they want it here.
Yeah, and another point too is when it comes to grievance politics, you're far, far right. You're like, well, I'm blaming this group for all these events. I'm like, well, which of these events was real and real enough to be mad at that group over it? So we have to separate the narratives and the stories from actual victimhood before you can go on a revenge tour.
Here's something you posted, you reposted rather, from The Lies We See, the Manchester drill.
Yeah, and that's a really important point too. So many of these staged events have drills along with them where it's kind of like, at this point, it's just expected. And while it's easy to look at the entertainment stuff that mirrors the fake events and say that's just a coincidence, you can't really argue that with drills. It's a little too close. And if you look at the proximity of drills to these events, it almost seems like the drills might even be used to create the closed movie set that you would need to stage an event. And so I often look at these events that have these drills as just an example of the level of planning that goes into these fake events. And my main point here has been lately that if they're planning a fake event in advance in order to affect the news cycle, and this never gets corrected, then it's reasonable to look at the long-term effect of it. What is the long-term effect of uncorrected, simulated fake events put into our news cycles? Well, it affects our history and therefore our worldview. So you can make the case for a fabricated history just by referencing the frequency of these fake events and the amount of time and attention that goes into promoting these above other stories. And drills are just indicators, of course, but again, it's just another one of these things that I think it's important to highlight.
Hold time 55 seconds.
Caller in, or what's your name and where are you calling from?
John the Bond from beautiful Plovdiv, Bulgaria.
JohnTheBond.com. Hello.
Hey, it's been a good show. When you two get together, it's often a very good show. And I've
Thank
got
you.
a question for you. First, though, the relief pitch, that wasn't his 33rd pitch. That was
Okay.
his 34th pitch.
Oh, was it?
Yamamoto was his name.
I-
And Tiger Woods' magic putt,
Sorry,
that
what's your
wasn't on the
evidence of
last
that?
hole of golf course. That was
What's your evidence of that?
well, I watched the game last night. It was Yamamoto's 34th pitch, not his 33rd.
Okay. Do you have a
That's an objective
screenshot
fact.
of that so we can
And
verify?
Tiger Woods, I do actually. I posted a screenshot of it to my Discord when it happened because I was like, wow, look at this.
Okay.
The relief pitcher is on 33 pitches. But that
Oh.
would mean that the next pitch was his 34th.
Okay. So we had 33 on the screen.
And then
Got it.
Tiger Woods' magic, yeah. And Tiger Woods' magic putt wasn't the last hole of the course. He didn't win the golf tournament with that putt. That was
Okay.
hole 16 at Port Augusta.
Okay, that's fine. Doesn't really
Yeah.
change the
Because
situation, though, does
you
it,
know the
John?
facts are important.
JohnTheBond.com. It doesn't really
Well, I think the
change
facts are
the
important.
idea of how the ball just magically paused. Isn't that the most important part of what we were talking about?
Well, it was magic looking. I agree about that.
Thank you very
It does look
much.
suspicious. You have to agree with that. I agree
Diana
with that. Yeah,
says
so my question for you
34 is the
with
new
this bat,
33. That's funny.
well, 32, 35, as long as we're close enough, I guess. But anyway, so with this bat breaking of Kirk, because that's pretty amazing that the Kirk guy, his bat breaking leads to a double play that ends Game 7 of the World Series. That's amazing.
In the
right?
neck.
Because of the name Kirk and then the neck break and the rest of it. Yeah, crazy stuff. So the question is it possible that this is a so-called coincidence, or like are we open-minded to that, or does this have to be scripted in some way? Because I've been listening to your show very intently, and I can't figure out if we're still open-minded to the coincidence perspective.
Well, I said at least 3 times I'm not a coincidence theorist. We're auto hoaxers here.
No, I want to clarify this though, because when we see something on wrestling, we just automatically presume it's scripted because we know what wrestling is. So we're raising the question, are other sports just as scripted or manipulated? And if the answer is yes, then it's not off the table. We can't just rule it out that it's not scripted, but we still have to answer other questions first, like, would it even be possible? Could you get the bat to break? Like, these are important questions, but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility it was scripted, given the ironic coincidences surrounded this Kirk guy for some time that seemed to be weirdly referencing Charlie Kirk. And we mentioned before, the podium he was sitting at when he was shot looked like a home base. So it's a weird coincidence, or it was scripted. I mean, I don't know if it was fakeable yet. I still need to think about this.
Oh, that's fair enough, yeah. Because I think
everything
anything
is
could be
fakeable.
scripted, or it could be real. I'm open-minded. But sometimes when I say that things are coincidences, people seem to say, oh, that makes you a coincidence theorist, that you think it's all God doing it or AI. And I'm like, hold on a second, coincidences do happen. It could have happened in this game as well. Why not?
Well, are there coincidences on the world stage? Because if the arena where it's happening at WWE, we don't say it's a coincidence. We say it's scripted. And so we're just asking, how far into the world of sports does the PSYOP entertainment complex reach? Like, I'm open to them getting into the commercials and having an influence in propaganda, but are they actually tampering with games in these creative ways? I don't know in this case, but it looks a little scripty.
Is the comparison to the WWE a fair one though? But like, the WWE is a openly scripted thing. Is Major League Baseball as fake as WWE?
Well,
Not
WWE admitted to being fake only recently, relatively. I mean, like in the late 80s. Before that, it wasn't. And so the question is, where does sports entertainment lean more into, entertainment or sports? And are they compromised enough to manipulate games on that level? I think these are valid questions.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
they
fair
are.
enough. Well, thanks for taking the call. I appreciate it, and I'll let you get back on with the show. Thank you, Uncle Eb, and
Thank
awesome advice to us. I
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Cheers, guys.
Crazy JLB. Thank you very much. I don't mind John. He just has this sort of edge to his calls. But they're good questions.
Yeah, those are fair questions, and
Yeah.
we should be prepared to answer them.
Yes.
And stand by our answers. Like, I'm not loading my questions. I'm not indirect. But in this case, I would say it was a funny coincidence, the neck, the Kirk, the home plate. If it weren't for him having previously been brought to my attention for all kinds of pain in the neck references, being called a pain in the neck, getting hit with the ball. At this point, it just looks like a lot of inside jokes in a way.
Yes.
So
I wasn't prepared to tie the whole World Series was not. Charlie Kirk was not on my mind when the World Series was on. But when you bring these points to my attention, it is quite strange. And you have to put them all together and ask yourself, is this deliberate? Is this just a coincidence? How would they do it? Why would they do it? What is the point? Do they really need us to remember Charlie Kirk? Is that not in the past, or is it close
and
enough? Yeah.
let's clarify too that we are the open-minded ones.
Yeah.
Because the default position is it was a coincidence. That
Yeah.
is the default position. So if you're saying maybe it wasn't a coincidence, maybe it was scripted, that's the open-minded. That's the skeptical approach, looking for more information, not prejudging it based on the default because it was on the screen. So no, we are the open-minded ones here.
Yeah, I think so. And when would they have planned this? Would they have planned it last month? 2 months ago? Do you guys think that the teams were already selected for the World Series? How do they go about doing that?
Right.
There are a lot of questions.
Dangerous line of inquiry. And that's why I think these questions are relevant. Like, people don't go far enough. Like, well, was Charlie squibbed? Well, let's not just stop there, because you're never going to get satisfactory evidence. Because if it was faked, it would have been a squib. But beyond that, if squibbed, then who knew? How extensive is it? Does Trump know? So it raises a whole can of worms of inconvenient questions if you pry. And so I think it's important to, dig a little deeper than just asking if fake, but if fake, then what? So if this broken neck on the bat is fake, then it's safe to say the whole thing is rigged in a big way.
I think so. You got a lot of good stuff on your Twitter feed here. If anyone wants to just go through it, there are so many talking points. Good. Here's one that you've got here. This person, whoever it is questioning Candace Owens, saying, so far Candace Owens has alleged that Charlie Kirk was murdered by Israel, a B cult, the deep state, TPUSA, the FBI, a man hidden underneath a trapdoor, or Mormons. And the obvious thing missing here is that he wasn't murdered. He was just removed from the world stage. Much more simple, and we don't need to find any scapegoats for the matter. So it's what they're missing. It's not what they have on this list.
Yeah, exactly. And I've made that point from the beginning, that if your starting point is mainstream and then you go into Trutherville, you're always going to be wrong. And you can have a million different scenarios. They don't care as long as you don't subtract from the initial premise. And that's where our starting point is. Like, did he even die?
They don't have to worry about your answers if you're asking the wrong questions. That's the easiest thing for me to think about here.
Eddie F says you can't script the bat breaking. I would have to I would have to talk to somebody in special effects when it comes to rigging things in general, because to me it just sounds like a small explosive charge or maybe something spring loaded. I don't know, but just because you don't know how the magic trick or potential magic trick was performed doesn't mean you have to default to it was therefore magic. And I'm looking at this as possibly a magic trick. Like, I didn't know how Trump did his ear first. I figured it was like a McDonald's packet of ketchup under his hat, but it might have been makeup under the podium. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't get to know. We get to speculate. All we know is their story is suspicious. The bat is suspicious. Do bats break? Yes. I don't know the mechanism in which they break. Is it a weak point in the bat? Is it how the ball hits the bat? Is it how he swings the bat? I'm not sure because I don't swing bats for a living. But I'm sure a professional or an amateur, semi-professional baseball player can tell you about bats breaking from their perspective, and it would be most useful to find out. But was that even deliberate? Was that part of it? Did that bat breaking blow the whole game for the Blue Jays? I think it did, actually.
And we're still dealing with the fact that the guy's name was Kirk and it got broken in the neck. So it's too ironic for me to just overlook it. And so I'd like to think it's just a funny, ironic coincidence. And that it's just another example of, I don't know. But at this point, I'm like, there's no coincidences on the world stage. And our question now is, are the baseball games on the world stage, or do we consider sports not part of the rigged bread and circuses? And I think that we would be remiss if we overlooked them.
Yep. Well, I think that was a good show. We did about an hour. We have over 100 people on YouTube and D Live, and we got quite a few over on the Twitter, maybe 50 people on our combined Twitter. We have a whole pile of people on the FAK1156. So I think people are starting to wait and schedule this show into their Monday routine, which I really am grateful for. I'm grateful for the caller-inners, even the ones that challenge. It's great. And I'm appreciate all the producers, of course, all the Penguin crew. I thought that was great. We got a lot of good ideas out tonight. And Tim, you're in good form answering questions. So I think we'll keep doing this as long as people are interested.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, everyone. And whoever bought all those memberships, somebody brought in a big batch of blue titanium wrenches and just handed them out. I want to say thanks.
How much do those cost?
And yeah, same time.
How much do those cost? Does someone have to pay for that?
Yeah, it's a monthly membership, and so somebody bought a grip of people memberships, which all just basically finances this operation. And I'm working now on getting into a 24/7 stream, and I'll be putting these replays into that feed. I'm looking at a remote server. So that's my next step.
And where can people support you? And just give out your websites, your latest websites.
IPS.monster is the go-to spot. It has all the relevant links right there at the top. And as you scroll down, you can find Discord near the bottom. And Discord's got like 155 plus. And the research goes on 24/7. And we are always in there working on things and discussing things.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Tim Osmo. See you next Monday.
All right. See you next week.
Thank you. And thanks, everyone, for joining in. And good show as always. Good callers. And tomorrow is Tuesday. Who's on Tuesday? Oh, Lynn Ertel. Turn it up. Lynn Ertel is on. I'm sure she'll have something to say. And or yell. So we'll turn it up tomorrow on Tuesday. This is Neil Young, Ohio. I'm not a big fan of Neil, but he lives around, or was from around where I live. So there you go. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you.
Gotta get down to it. Soldiers are cutting us down. Should have been done.